Hey guys, one thing that really gets me is how people say, "Oh, we wouldn't be here without milk. You wouldn't even be here. Humans wouldn't survive as a species." First of all, that's incredibly false. There's no evidence for this whatsoever. The only thing that you could possibly be able to say is that people wouldn't have moved out of their comfort zone. They wouldn't have moved out of the tropical zones had they not had access to meat. So that's my 2 cents there. And then the other thing is it's such a flawed logic because it has absolutely nothing to do with who we are now, what we're doing now, or staying alive. It has absolutely nothing to do with that. The fact that you choose to go eat a burger or a steak or eat chicken every day or whatever has nothing to do with the fact that our ancestors needed it to survive. I mean, that's the same logic as saying, well, in Jonestown, they had to eat humans to survive, so it's okay. Let's just all turn into cannibals. It's just flawed logic. So seriously, meat eaters, upgrade your arguments here. It's getting ridiculous. I do just want to say that that is incredibly flawed logic to just be like, you might need to eat meat someday. What if there's a solar flare so big, or the changing of the earth, axis makes it everything unstable? What if, some natural disaster happens and the grid goes down? What are you gonna do? You're not gonna be able to be vegan then now, are you? You need to prepare. You need to know how to skin stuff and kill stuff and hunt stuff so that if that happens, then you can survive. And I'm like, really? Like, I've heard this argument so many times. It's unbelievable. And to this, I just have to say, we're both prepping. I have a stockpile. I mean, to the best of I can. I'm not like crazy with it. And granted, I don't have like a piece of land to go hide at often or anything like that. But I'm pretty well prepared in my own mind for just about anything to happen. I've got lots of water, not a ton, but I also have a Berkey so that if I was to be able to find basically any water, I can just put it in there. I've got backup water drops. I've got jugs of water, and then I've got like a lot of other food that actually has a lot of water in it. I've got a stockpile of food. I've got lots of books on like finding food, foraging, things like that. But here's the deal. Meat eaters aren't necessarily doing anything to prepare for this event if shit hits the fan. Not necessarily. So, like, why attack me because of veganism when I am prepping, when you're not attacking other meat eaters who aren't prepping? Like, it's so backwards. I just don't get it. Like, I'm saving seeds. I know how to grow potatoes. I usually actually always have potatoes on hand that are going bad. It kind of is like a little safety net for me. I do feel a little bit better because I don't trust the system. And, that's why so many of my friends are, like bringing this up to my attention. But it just makes no difference because when it comes down to it, the definition of veganism is not to never harm another living thing again as long as you live or you might die. Like, that's just not the definition of veganism. If you look it up, who created the word vegan, it's to the best of your ability, to the best that you can. It doesn't mean that if you run out of food, I'm not going to take my shotgun and go shoot some animals. It doesn't mean that. If there's no food and I have to rely on animals, yes, and that is within the definition of veganism, to do what you have to do. Am I going to try every other opportunity? Yes. Am I going to try to grow my own food like I'm planning on doing? Yes. So, as you can see, this argument just is not an argument against veganism. This should be just a simple argument for everybody to be a prepper and not say, oh, well, what are you going to do? Because I'm going to do what everybody else is going to do. I'm going to do the best that I can in the situation that I'm in with what I've prepared for. So I'm pretty confident. Like, I have watched my dad. I used to be really interested for some reason in him cutting up fish when I was a little girl. I was used to it. I saw it all the time. And I was actually the only one of my two sisters who would come down and watch. I've been watching people fillet fish. I know how to fish. Basically, I know everybody says that, I don't know how to fish, but like, I know how to fish the waters around here. I wouldn't say I'm a good fisher, but I'm sure that, I'm a lot more adequately trained to survive. I've been hunting. I have a gun. It's just one of those things that probably is, won't even have to worry about this in our lifetime. Like, I know the system is somewhat unstable and it wouldn't take that much to knock it all out. However, it's been going for quite some time and it's pretty sturdy, and the odds are that it's going to keep on going. So instead of preparing for this and using it honestly as a big excuse to continue eating meat, even though the two things are completely unrelated. I mean, how does your eating meat on the weekends or every day or whatever, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, every meal, if some people, how does that have to do with how prepared you're going to be afterwards? It has nothing to do with it. Now you can say that, oh, the hunting, needs to be, prolonged and we need to pass these ancient techniques down. Well, you're not learning, you don't know how to spin wool either, just because I'm against it doesn't mean I couldn't figure it out or find some other thing. It's not like you're going to have to fucking do your own shit from scratch. Most likely you're going to, like, if there's a zombie apocalypse or something, I'm going to be able to go find clothes lying around. I'm not going to have to like spin my own from wool. So it's fucking retarded. And honestly, I can't believe such intelligent people are bringing such stupid arguments to me. I don't want to be rude, but I'm appalled. I'm absolutely appalled. And again, I know how to catch and cut a fish. I have watched enough nature shows in my life and learned enough even about hunting to where if I had to, I'm sure I could hunt a squirrel and clean it out and do just fine with it. And for the most part, actually, what I do about food like that would actually be just eating insects. I would eat the hell out of some bugs first. And that's how it used to be when you talk about paleo people and, if they were eating any animals for the longest time, it was insects and bugs, and they worked their way up, and they definitely weren't eating like 2-ton fucking heifers and shit all the time. And so anyway, getting a little bit off track, but just remember that if anybody ever brings this up to you, this is an invalid argument, totally infallible, has nothing to do with veganism. I will continue prepping in my own way and learning things that I personally think will help me survive. And honestly, the way that people eat meat these days actually hurts their heart. One of the main things you want to be able to do if the shit hits the fan is to be able to keep, if you have to move, to keep moving from place to place if there's danger, or even if you're in a place where you're having to, grow your own food and create your own stuff, you're going to need to stay healthy, and you're going to need to be healthy, and you're going to need to have a strong heart in order to deal with the stress of that kind of a lifestyle. So if you have a already weak heart from, years and years of excessive meat intake, then you're not going to fare so well. You're not going to last very well either. So it's, and it's really funny because how many people are dying right now because shit hits the fan, as opposed to how many people are dying from heart disease, stroke, and cancer and diabetes. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but those are the top killers aside from medical deaths. Again, that's a whole nother video. But these things, the percentage, the likelihood of what we're talking about is just so much more realistic that people are going to get heart disease and die from eating meat and milk and eggs and all that stuff, rather than I'm going to need to learn some kind of a skill like that or preserve some skill. So, and another thing is if I really wanted to figure out like how to skin an animal. I mean, I know they have like programs, instead of dissecting frogs, you can dissect an animal. I'm sure that, somebody out there could find and or make a program where we could all learn how to skin animals and disembowel them and all that stuff if we need to. Like, it sounds gross, but if you're that's really where your mindset is, then that's what you would want to do, you know. That's much more ethical, I think, than just killing animals because you may have to use them in the future. Because the fact is, honey, we don't have to eat animals now. We have so many alternatives that are not only better for you and cheaper, but they're better for the environment and they're completely ethical, and no being at all has to suffer for it. So that's my 2 cents, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you think. I know these views can get pretty controversial, so let me know what you think, and share with your friends if you think that it's something that they might want to think about. Talk to you later. Don't forget to eat your fruit.